Hello, friends.
I look
Hello,
painful.
friends. Hi, friends.
Sat on the floor.
I nearly clicked it.
Glitched.
I nearly clicked it, ended the stream then. I nearly ended the stream back to it then.
Oh, that was quick. I mean, sure. You could make this stream as long as this book should have been if you want. That's mean. I will take that back. Like, I'll take that back. But,
You don't,
no,
though, do you? You don't.
James Islington fans. Islington.
Do you know what? So many people now that I watch are like James Islington, Allington, whatever. That's how to say his name properly. I was saying it the other day. I was like Islington, Allington, whatever.
Yeah, it's one of them. James, good old James.
Good old Jimmy.
Good old James. I love your writing. You're a solid writer. However, there is a lot of stuff going on, and I think it's a me thing currently. Like we all know, if you know who the hell I am, which I don't assume anyone does, to be fair. But you know that I am a big fantasy reader. Big epic fantasy reader. Most of these shelves, epic fantasy. At the moment, don't care. Can't compute. Doesn't work. So
Do you know
I
what?
don't know if, like, a large part of me not overly enjoying this series is just because it's not going into my brain, or if I genuinely just did not enjoy this book. But I did. Like, I gave it 3 stars. What did you give it?
I gave it. I'm debating because it was like it was the writing's good, the world building is good. You can't say logically, like, if I was looking at it as a purely just literary piece of work, you can't say that it's a bad book.
No,
It's well written, although character development could have had some bit more work. But
bit
like
more
the
work.
story.
This is 880 pages of work.
Yeah, but for me, it didn't go in depth enough with the characters, and I said this before we came on, that he wanted us to care about the relationship between we're in Ashala and Davian. They're in case anybody's watching this, we do talk spoilers. They've grown up together, and you kind of feel from the beginning that they have this bond. That's fine. The bonds they create with other people, like, we're supposed to believe that Davian loves Ashalia and still loves Ashalia after all this time, when most of the book we don't spend with them. They don't spend time together.
Yeah.
We see like an inkling of something building in the beginning, but then the rest of the series they don't spend much time together. So how can that love develop? To me, it's weird. It doesn't make sense.
No, I do agree with that. I will say, and again, if you've never watched us before, not only do we choose spoilers, we don't talk in a linear fashion at all. I like how this book ended. Like, when we got to the end, and the epilogue is, if I could just rate this book on the epilogue, it probably would have been a 5 stars, because I was like, oh my god, like, this all comes together. This is how it happens. This is how everything happens, and then literally the way the book ends,
my jaw was on the floor.
And it literally starts the circle again, which I thought was fantastic and very cleverly done. Really enjoyed that. The 800 pages beforehand, not so, like, I did still enjoy it. Like, I completely agree with you. I cannot categorically say that this is a bad book. The writing is impeccable. I love the way that this author writes. I just didn't feel gripped by the plot for a large part of this. I wanted to know what was going to happen. Obviously, we're right at the tail end of this story.
Yeah.
And I maybe this book was just a little bit too timey-wimey for me, if I'm honest, because we're going backwards and forwards. Davian is in some weird time stream thing with some snake people, and everyone else is in, like, normal time. And we've
oh my god, you know me. Like, I am a crier, and this series has not made me cry at all. And I was just like,
there you go. 3 stars, not even that.
But that ending, when we find out, like, who his parents really were and stuff, and I was just like, oh my god, I was so close to tears. I was just like, why but I think the thing is, I do love political intrigue, some like betrayals, and I'm like with you. Like I do really enjoy an epic fantasy plot. Like give me the in-depth, like political workings, war planning
Yeah.
situation. And I've got a cat who's just decided to make his way onto my
Hello,
desk.
Cookie.
He wants his attention. He can get me down. Um, but I think it was too much
Mm.
for too much of a long space of time. Like
Mhm.
the battle at the end, they're just a pew, pew, pew with Davian, and then Ashalia with the
Yeah.
essence shield, and then we're like in the fighting like who's gonna live, who's gonna die, and the whole dramatic thing with Caden at the end, like walking through the mist, like that whole battle thing.
Yeah.
When he does his battles, I'm like, hell yes,
Yeah.
this is what I live for. Like I just think there wasn't enough
Yeah.
battle scenes. There wasn't enough fighting. It was predominantly just building and building and building, and then we
Mm.
have like a little bits of fights here and there. And obviously, when we lost his mum in the last book, but they
Yeah.
were more like attacks. Oh my god!
Catch
Oh,
that.
it's just knocked off my cucumber and carrots all onto the floor.
So he can eat them, obviously.
He doesn't even like vegetables. Ah, right. Okay, we'll stop that in a bit. Sorry, he's just totally.
Right? Cats cannot be helped. They
He's having a
have their own-
moment. He's not been like this for ages, and he's just having a moment where he's like wanting all the attention. I can't remember what I was saying. Yeah, we've had a few battles, but they were more like rather than going into battle, it
Yeah.
was them being attacked.
Yeah.
Which was like they were on the defensive, whereas this one it was like they were gearing up for battle and they knew what was coming, like and they knew like what, and yeah, and I really enjoyed that. And I did like finding out about the different races,
Yeah.
and I actually enjoyed the timey-wimey stuff. I did.
I just got
But
very lost, and I think it was just me being a little bit simple, if I'm honest. Like there were large parts of it where I got a little bit too lost, and I was like, I don't care anymore. Like just stop. I did. There is a part right at the end of the book, funnily enough, where they are coming out of the timey-wimey stuff. Davian, Caden, who is not Caden, he's Talcumar at that point. This is the other thing. Everyone's got like 5 different names. Why? Why does everyone need so many names?
yeah, even Davia got a new name in this one, didn't they? Was it
Yes.
Shadet?
Yeah, because no one
his
could
name
know
is.
that he was Davian because he's being chased even though he's out of the time stream and he's foraging for metal. Didn't get it. But anyway, there is a point at the end where everyone is going back to their different time streams.
Yeah.
For some reason, is it Naya? Yeah, I think that's her name.
Mm.
Her vessel or whatever it is isn't working, and she won't. She can't transform. And the minute the book went, Caden went over, put a hand on her head, put a hand on her stomach, closed his eyes, and then she could do it. I was like, I know what you've done. I know what you've done. I knew it. And then they didn't say what it was until the epilogue. And I was just like, I knew you tried to abort that child. I knew she was pregnant.
But
that's how Davian was created.
Yeah, so he technically took part in the creation of Davian, which is really weird.
Not in the creation.
Making him who he was, like the reason he doesn't have a source, the reason he has to pull on. Yeah, it's so serious. The reason why he pulls on people's essence, in order to live, is because he doesn't have his own source, and that's because he tried to abort him. Like I didn't like that. Like that whole thing, I was like in denial about that. When that happened, I was like, maybe she had an infection. And he was getting rid of the infection. And he was getting rid of the infection for a little bit. I didn't want to think that he did that, but the fact that he didn't realize that, obviously in the epilogue we find out that obviously who she is and who her child is,
Yeah.
that's when he realizes what he's done, and
Yeah.
that like it really literally is all his fault. Everything that happens is actually all his fault. Not just the whole shit with Elle and the massacres that he committed on like doing Elle's bidding.
Yeah.
It was Davian, and what
Yeah.
happens to Davian is because of him.
Yeah.
And he deserved to die. And I know that he felt bad and whatnot, and you know, he helps them in the end, and you know, he's absolved himself of his sins or whatever. But I feel like him, I was worried that at the end he was gonna get out in some kind of way as well.
Yeah.
Because they all did conveniently get out of the end. And
Yeah, I will
so
say that was the other thing as well. No one really died. And
well, no.
you know,
Well,
like we
the
started the
friends,
book with these
yeah,
main three. We ended the book
yeah,
with these main three.
yeah. And then the love interests of Weir and Davian also survived, obviously because of Charlie survived. But
Yeah.
then the whole time we thought maybe was it Dizia? I want to call her Dizzy, but it's not. I think it's Dizia and her brother.
Mhm.
That was never explained. Why was that not explained? Like they're now part of this tribe, and then his name beginning with A can like wield or turn into this red weapon person
Yeah.
thing, and like
Why?
all this power. Like, where for? Why? For how? For how? How did that happen? Like it's not like he had hold of like Aeneas or like what kind of thing relic has he got hold of that has allowed him to that was never explained. It was just like, hi, we're now part of this random tribe. I love you. Bye. See
Yeah.
you soon. Like he can do this now.
Yeah.
I can't go with you because it's a tribe thing. In a bit. I was like
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't enjoy that part being unexplained, but what did I like? I like the ending. I did like the ending.
oh. See,
The thing about these books,
the thing is,
the thing is, what really frustrates me more as a personal thing than a this book or this author thing is that when we read the Legacy trilogy, and I keep going back to this bloody trilogy,
because it was
I
amazing.
loved it. I devoured it, right?
Yeah.
That is probably one of the most political, fighty books series that I have read in a long time.
Yeah.
Right?
It's very deep, in depth.
It's
I
very
mean,
deep, very in depth. Books are freaking huge
yeah.
for what I read. They're not Ryan Cahill huge, but they're huge, right?
Nothing is Ryan Cahill. That sounds so wrong. Book wise,
Yeah.
nothing that I read has reached the Ryan size of Ryan Cahill's recent book.
Apart from Sanderson, because that Wayfarer series,
Wayfarer, that's Becky Chambers.
that's a different book. Way of Kings series. The whole book is like 1,000 pages, isn't it? Like per thing.
Yeah.
But the last book, to my knowledge, in the Lycanius trilogy is like 880 pages.
Yeah.
And I completely understand that all books are going to have lulls when they're that long because
Yeah.
they're going to have to. You're going to have to do some traveling.
Yeah.
You're going to have to do some explaining or some backstory or whatever. And I just felt like a lot of this series for me was slow. And again, maybe it's because of where I'm at the minute and what I'm reading. I'm not reading fantasy at the minute. It's a lot of fantasy romance, believe it or not, at the minute, because that's freaking rapid, right?
The thing is though, like him, like the thing is, I feel like I don't know. There was some parts in this that was really interesting. Like
yes, I like finding out about the dark.
The dark was really like a whole situation where it would just basically
which if it
turn
touches you, that's
yeah,
it, you're dead.
you're just a goner. And the fact that he ended up that that he healed him and it ended up being his dad was just like a full circle moment there. That was cute. But some of the reveals were such a small thing that was sort of like then it was like quickly moved on from. Like
Yeah.
finding out that Weir's cousin for the majority of the book was dead and was actually in Nisgalia. Like
Yeah.
Like that whole thing, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's a massive
Yeah.
reveal. And it was
Yeah.
just a tiny little thing. And
Yeah.
then Caden went ape shit. Or was it Weir? No, Weir went ape shit. Or was it one of them? One of them
Everyone
did.
did. I think
Yeah,
everyone-
and then like no, Caden did because Ashalia was like, "Oh my god," when he realized that it was actually Galia. And then it was just kind of like referenced one more time near the end where they were all reminiscing and like being all remorseful about the people that they'd lost, including his uncle. His uncle didn't even die on page, really. I know that his uncle was never really on page to begin with, but he was the king. And it was sort of like, oh, by the way,
Right.
they're being locked out of the toll, and your uncle and some other people that we've mentioned are also out there. Your uncle's now dead. And fair enough, they're in a war situation. You're not going to be like, oh my God, I'm depressed. I'm going to go lock myself in a room for 10 days. But
Don't got time for that.
it was
They're
just
banging
kind of
on the
like,
door.
I don't know. Like, it feels like the deaths and the big reveals, which are big reveals. Like, I really liked his cousin.
Yeah.
I thought her and Caden's little thing was like pretty cutesy, to be fair. But to find out that it was actually not who we thought it was, which happened, it happens a lot. By the way, that person that trained you in that other dimension, that was actually me who'd been shape shifted into someone else. So it's like, was
Yeah.
anybody like? It's like fucking what's her face all over again? Reincarnation woman, Jen Lyons. It's like
Yeah,
it's not
I agree.
reincarnation. It was just, oh, by the way, that person that trained you for all in that other dimension area was me, but I was just in another body. And
I was just not me. Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
And the thing I think as well, Nithgala just annoyed me a little bit.
She was obsessed. She was crazy stalker bitch. like
He was a bunny boiler for 1,000%.
she killed people, shapeshift into them just so she could follow him around. And then what
Yeah,
did she?
but
What was her purpose in the
I
end?
don't really know.
What did it get?
I'm not 1,000% sure, but it was just the way that she turns around to Talcumar, Caden, whoever you want to call him, at one point when they were talking about Elle and how short her actual life was, and they realized like she took over Al a lot faster than he thought or something.
Yeah.
And she's like, but she was so young and you couldn't have had a conversation with her. And I was like, she's not 5. Like, we're all, I think, well, I think they were consenting adults.
Yeah.
I also did have to stop and think towards the end of the book and be like, Davian and Asher and Weir are like 19, if that. They're not that old. There's me going at the end of the book like, midlife crisis, yay, we're all good, we're going to be together forever. No, they've been together 5 minutes and they're still teenagers. They're not in their 20s yet. What the heck?
Yeah. Yeah.
You've just been through all of this is therapy. Wait, like you would line someone's pocket so well.
PTSD is coming. Like he's now not just North Warden. He is king.
Yeah.
And Weir is king at like 19. And I know people have been king at younger ages than that. But they've all been through a hell of a lot. Like there's been murder, betrayal.
They literally leave school in the first book. They leave their school.
That's so easy to forget.
And go on a little adventure with their backpacks. Like,
and what an adventure it was, guys.
And then everyone dies around them. And they follow a glowing box to Caden. What?
You know what, though? When you actually sit and think about it, the objections that people had about these people were that one was a shadow, one was an ogre, and one was gifted. Not the fact that they were teenagers and actually knew fuck all.
Yeah, we've got no problem with the fact that you're actually about 18, and regardless of where you are in our day now, you probably can just about buy alcohol, and so that's not a problem. Like, come and run the country, crack on. However, you can do shooty things with your brain and sparks. That's our problem.
That's why we don't like it. No.
And you can tell, and Davian, you can tell when we're lying. That's bad and wrong. Yep. Yep.
It's when you sit back and think about it, you're like,
yeah. I do find that sometimes with fantasy books, like if you actually sit down and like boil it down to the bare bones and the like basic components, it sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like really like
it's like the what's it called, the A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. If you boil that down, you go to a school and it tries to kill you. That's essentially the plot of that book. And there is a girl that no one likes that has to try and make friends because she never learned how to make friends. That's the plot. And it's what actually goes in between those bits that makes good books. However,
it does make you sit back, because it did take me a while. I'm not gonna lie, even when the pieces are being clicked into place, it did take me a while to register like who Naya and the guy beginning with R, I forgot his name, was. Because they were like, it was like, they were like, 20 years ago. Because until it, like, I actually sat and thought about it, it didn't compute in my brain that they were only, like, they were under the age of 20. So I was thinking,
and they're also from two completely different time zones. Well, not time zones. It's not
timelines,
like Australia and freaking Europe, but
timelines, yeah, or times, dates in time, yeah. He was like, like, thousands of years older than, or did they say millennia? Like, he was way older than, he was way older than her, and he got her pregnant.
Also, tiny stuff.
And he got her pregnant, and I was like, okay, like, let's just ignore that for a second. But yeah, when they were saying it was 20 years ago, in my mind, I was just like, oh, well, it can't be Davian. Because at first I was like, oh, yeah, maybe Davian. And they're like, no, he must be older than 20. And I was like, actually, no, he's not. And it's easy to forget because they go through so much.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much, like, you could save the world or break it, basically, is what they're saying. You 3 kids, children, teenagers.
In it, really. Like, one guy who has been going for thousands of years lost a special sword.
So some teens could help him find it and get the way.
Willingly gives up all of his memories, then has to go with the Scooby Gang to get them back. Like, literally, what? And
like, Shalia, as a teenager, is locked in like what is essentially a sarcophagus with
getting
needles
every shift. It's a shift. What was your first time job? Well,
I worked shifts.
I know what shift work is. I used to get stabbed every hour for like 8 hours a day, and then go to some imaginary place in my brain.
Can you imagine? On your CV, are you to shift work? Yes, I am.
Really, shift work. Where's the box then? What do you mean? Where's the box? What the box I need to do my shifts in? Right. Okay.
Oh my god. I can't believe that.
I don't think they've got normal jobs coming up in their futures at all. I do. I don't know. I did like the characters. I also found it quite impressive that 2 characters who kind of liked each other from the age of like 15 still end up together at the end, having had no dalliances along the way.
Mm.
I know this isn't a romance book, do not get me wrong. But I just, we go on a bit of a travel with Weir and other people, and he falls in love with a girl. And I just find it odd that like Asher and Davian were going in separate directions, doing so much completely separately, but they were still. I mean, fair play. True love exists, I suppose, in this book. That's nice.
But what I will say though is that, like, I think another reason why I'm struggling with the relationships in this is because the passage of time, the limit does not exist. The passage of time is not really felt. It's sort of like, oh,
well, it's because there is no massively real passage of time in this book, personally, because there is a lot of Davian, and Davian is living months in advance, while the world back home, it's only been a month.
Yeah.
So he was like stuck wherever he was for 5 months, came back, realized it had only been a month, and was like, wow.
But then he's where he is, and then like in book 3, we come round, and I know that this happens in a lot of other books. I'm just saying, like in this particular one, I feel like sounds stupid, but a year. I feel like it could have been more. Like I think it was it in the Legacy trilogy? We keep coming back to that. There's like 5 years difference in between one of the books.
There was a
that
lot
feels
of
like was a passage of time, and that makes sense to have that. But having just a year between books, and then I know, and within that year you've got Davian that's like flitting back and forth, and then Caden's flitting back and forth because it is in like, and you've got other people being pulled from other other dimensions through portals and stuff. It's difficult to get a grasp of what the actual timeline is.
Yeah, especially all the
what they're doing
added in on top.
Yeah, so I think because that wasn't clearly explained, and so even if it was, for instance, like in a couple of books I've read, don't ask me which ones, it says like the 3rd year of the Hawk or whatever, and then like the 697th year of the Hawk or whatever. Like it tells you what year it is, and then it'll tell you what that character's doing, and if they if there's any time shit in it. So that to me, you could get a grip of like, okay, so we are here, and this is the actual timeline we're working with. But they've gone back to here or forward. Do you know what I mean? I think that threw me off a bit because I did like that. I do like stuff like that different time. We can call it time-wimey stuff. I do like that kind of stuff, but it was very interesting to see like when they walked through the rift, and when they were in the other area with the lizardy thing, not lizardy things. Was it lizardy? Gargath, yeah. That whole mechanism situation, very interesting, but it was just genuinely confusing. And I feel like, I don't know. In a way, I feel like I would like to go back and listen to it and reread it again and like really focus on it. But then I feel like, I keep saying I feel like, but would that be a waste of my time? Am I trying to convince myself that I would like it if I went back and listened to it?
Yeah.
Just because this is basically what got me into reading again, other than Six of Crows. A lot of what I started reading when I got back into reading was like high fantasy. And Ryan Cahill was, speaking of the devil, was one of the ones, and John Gwynne, and they were my go-to reads. So I'm struggling with the fact that I only found this okay. And
especially because it's so highly regarded as well. Like I see a lot of people who absolutely love it, and like that's completely fine. This whole thing and all of my thoughts and feelings, and I'm sure it's the same for you, is not bashing on anyone who loves this series. Like I'm so happy for you guys. I freaking love this. I am also a little bit jealous. I've got the broken binding editions on my shelf. How are they gonna stay? I don't know. Like part of me also feels the same way you do, but in less of in the sense of if I reread it, will I actually love it? More of if I actually physically read it, will I get it more and therefore enjoy it more? because I did the whole series audibly. And there seem to be, for me personally, some series that I can just smash out through audio, and I get it, and I retain the information, and I love it. Legacy, I keep going back to that one, but I read.
We loved it.
Yeah, we did. But I think it's the only thing that we've read recently as a whole that's kind of comparable, because of it also being a chunky, deep, epic fantasy.
That's what's making me wonder, though, that it's not me that's in an epic fantasy slump, because it wasn't that long ago that we read it, like a few months ago.
But
So
I feel like with Legacy, I read the whole first book physically, and then I only read towards the end of the second book and towards the end of the third book, I think, audibly. I read majority of all the books physically. Couldn't put them down. Loved them. I wonder if that is a big thing for me, whether it is the fact that I didn't read physically and I'm currently maybe not in an audiobook era of my life, Taylor Swifting and all that, because it's just not retaining. Is it because when I listen to my audiobooks, either listen to them in the car or on site, is my job being a little bit more taxing than it has been in the past? I don't know. Like, is it because I feel like I'm a lot more easily distracted at the minute? Potentially, because I feel like the books I'm reading physically or on my Kindle, i.e. with my eyes, because I have to physically sit there and retain information and just concentrate on something, is that then not necessarily making me enjoy books more, because I have been reading books physically and not enjoying them at all. But I've retained the information better. So is it just at the minute there is an air gap between my ears and my brain, potentially?
I mean, I can't say that because I've read 50 books this month, and
yeah, sure.
No, but I don't.
I also do wonder if a part of it is because
I wanted to love it, though.
I wanted to love it. I do wonder if a part of it as well is what I'm doing when listening to audiobooks, because I'm not doing something that is, well, on site it's kind of repetitive, but it's also quite a loud environment. The car is a repetitive thing. I listen to books on the way to and from work. It's a route I drive every single day. Like, it's pretty repetitive. But maybe the whole listening on site is not the answer at the minute, because my brain is too full. Whereas maybe if I was doing like a jigsaw, or if I actually learned how to crochet or knit, then because it's like a repetitive motion, maybe then I could turn that thinking part of my brain off and just absorb.
Yeah.
I don't know.
For you, that might be the case, but I'm used to audiobooks, and I consume most of my high fantasy via audio, because that's how I process it better. Like, mixed media immersion reading is how I prefer to do all my fantasy, all my reading, to be fair, obviously. And if not, it's audiobooks. I'm the one that struggles the other way. It's just physically reading without any sort of surround sound or noises in the background. I get easily distracted. But I think for me as well, it's because it's such a well-loved series, and it's one that I've been looking forward to reading for so long. For me, I think I'm in denial about. I don't think if I was to reread this, I would feel any different. I'm struggling because I wanted to like it so much, and I really didn't, and I don't want to waste another however many hours reading it if I'm not going to enjoy it more.
But I think that's a big thing from this series as well to take away as well. Like, we obviously started this whole thing because me and you have very similar tastes in certain genres, not in every genre, in certain genres. And
like stalker romance.
You can keep that one, if I'm honest. That's not for me. But we did this so that we could, like, obviously, about books that we enjoy, and then the big epic fantasy ones, and that's great. But at the same time, just because I've seen so many people that I respect and, think that I've got very similar taste to enjoy this book or this whole series so much more than I have does not mean that that's a bad thing. And I think that's something that we do need to remember sometimes, is that not every book and not every series is for us. And it just so happens that this time round we actually agree, because we don't always agree.
We don't always agree.
Which books are great and which books are bad. Like The Grace of Kings is a key one that I remember of. I was enjoying it and you stopped me reading it. That's not true. But like, I was invested. It's a slower book.
Have you picked it up again now that it's on audio at all? When you said that you were going to try and reread it because the audio came out?
I've got it. I haven't started it because I've been reading this. And I don't like to cross-listen to epics. Because I will get that confused.
Tufty McTavish! You're a splendid. I had no idea you were alive.
I never missed it all. But...
I'm just coming down from Watershed in the Garden. I'm gonna say it in a Scottish accent because Tufty in my eyes, you are Scottish. What have I missed? You haven't missed it. We've just been saying how very meh it was. You tried to finish doing hit. I'm trying.
3 stars for me. I think
3 for me too.
Oh, maybe when this is finished, go back and rewatch the first 30 minutes, because I can't reiterate what I've just said, if I'm honest. But apart from the fact that I think that we need to give ourselves like a little bit of grace that this just wasn't for us, and that's fine. Like, I enjoyed it to an extent, and like we already said, the writing is impeccable. I'm still looking forward to reading The Will of the Many. I feel like that's going to be.
I'm scared now. But
I feel like that's going to be more of an us book, if I'm honest, because I feel like he's still gonna have that amazing writing style that he has that I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping that maybe if we're concentrating on one character, I will feel more connected to that character and actually like empathize and get right on that with them, and not be following like 4 different characters and 4 different timelines and 4 different places and everywhere else.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the thing as well. Maybe there was just too much going on. This is why I keep comparing it to Legacy, because I feel like in Legacy you're following so many different characters in different places.
Yeah, you are.
But I wonder if the reason I loved Legacy so much more partially is because there is no timey-wimey stuff. I didn't get lost. We're in the same
I think
time.
his character development, though, I love this bit. We were talking about about the ending and how it actually... Well, we didn't actually mention that the last bit, that it actually wasn't Davian that was killed. Although I'm led to believe the whole time that it was Davian.
Yeah.
But it was actually Caden.
Yeah.
A.K.A. Talcumar. A.K.A. Archon David.
A.K.A.
Mesh, what his name is. But I don't know. This is what I mean. Like, though that reveal at the end was just absolutely brilliant.
Well, it's like I said, if I could just rate it on the ending was 5 stars. Everything came together perfectly. There was no string left untied. You know, there was no loose
apart
end.
From the whole why the hell Dizzy woman and her brother were part of the
we ignore that bit. We move. It's fine.
Like,
it's
what they're called.
It's fine. But the end bit, 5 stars. All makes sense. Literally, the minute you finish that book, you could restart from book 1 and it picks up exactly where it should do. Which is the point.
This is kind of what's making me think, would I understand it more on a reread? Like, I would understand it more, would I enjoy it more?
Yeah.
But there is still going to be that lack of character development. We do get to learn a lot about each of the characters in book 1, and I was hoping that whole development was going to go through. And although we follow them as a plot rather than them developing as characters. And for me, I really want to see each individual person develop, which is why I kind of struggle to buy in the Ashala and Davian relationship, and the Weir and Dixia relationship, because it's like, it is comments from other people. You spent so much time together, and then before
Yeah, well, in
Ditsea
the
went off
first
on
book,
a little thing, on a little
yeah,
travels, they weren't allowed to be seen together. And then all
yeah.
of a sudden at the end, it's like, I love you.
But then again, there is also a large section, isn't there, that we don't see? Because obviously, from the first book, we find out Davian has a crush on this girl called Asha, as she's introduced as a character.
Yeah.
And then by the end of it, obviously, they're still in love, which is great and romantic and all that mushy stuff. However, there is so much, obviously, before even the start of this book that we don't see.
Yeah.
And it's very much a case of, and this is something that you don't like, being told and not shown. Because it's like, we have this connection. And we're like, where the fuck is it?
Let me feel your chemistry.
Yeah.
Even if it was just a couple of scenes together where
Yeah.
you felt their chemistry and you felt their love, I'd be like, yes, I'm on board for this. I can totally understand that why they've got this
Yeah.
connection. But there was nothing that made me feel with any of the relationships outside their friendship group, like the romantic relationships.
Yeah.
The same thing with Naya and Revision, whatever his name is. We were told that they were spending a lot of time together. We were told that Naya gave him certain looks and she only smiled around him. But we didn't see their perspective and like them together.
Yeah.
And it was
No,
like, and then all of a sudden, and that's why near the end I was shocked. She was freaking pregnant. What? How? Where? Like, and then he was gonna ask it like the ring, and I was like, how has it come to this? Yeah, no, it's like they were together all the time, and it was a really, really short space of time, a really intense environment, and that can happen. They can fall in love quickly, but that because we didn't see any of it, we just saw the comments about them spending time together, and then all of a sudden they're in love, and he's got a ring. What?
Yeah.
Bitch, what? You tried to save your lives here, and you were dying from the dark.
Yeah.
Like, when did you have a chance to fall in love with someone?
No, I get that, and yeah, I do agree.
This series was 5 for 5 for the final book. I loved it. This is what I mean. I'm so glad you loved it. I wish I did.
I just didn't, and I think that's okay.
Was it in the author's notes? I think it was series. Was it series on? Oh,
no idea.
Don't tell me he's gonna later down the line bring out a series about Dizzy and her brother, going off to join the tribe and how he suddenly got these powers, because that I wouldn't read that. I would be interested in the context of this book, but I wouldn't read a whole separate thing about Dizzy and her brother. And I'm gonna call her Dizzy because I've forgotten her name. I'm really shit. There were so many names.
Dizzy? Not
Dizzy. Dizzy. There was way too much history up in the middle of the book, which yes. Yeah. It really, really was. Charlia was a badass. She was.
I did like her as a character. I'm just not a fan of their relationship. But at the same time, what I have to remember about their relationship, they're 19.
Yes.
Everything is so much bigger when you're 19. Isn't it? Like, just those feelings and everything, and not being funny. They're trauma bonded for life. And the first one, she thinks he's dead. He is then not.
So much. How many times does everyone think Davian's dead?
It's just like stuff goes on. He gets lost in the time stream. No one knows where he is.
But
do you think he falls in love with someone else? He doesn't. Then he gets lost in the time stream again. He comes back like ripped to heck because he's been
hauling chunks of metal around.
Hauling metal. And then gets sent back to past Asha in chains to tell her things that make no freaking sense.
But I did like that full circle moment because we saw that scene in book 1 when he did come to it. So I did like that. Like that's it was moments like that where you get that full circle moment, where you get that sort of like where things are starting to click together, where things are starting to connect, and you're like, actually, the time stuff makes sense because, and you realize that obviously when we find out at the end that it was actually Caden, not Davian, you know that they haven't broken anything. They haven't broken the way that time works. It's just that the way that they perceived what was going on was just different, obviously, because he'd shapeshifted. So he knows that Davian's actually going to be okay. By the end of the book, we were like, actually, we know Davian's going to be okay. But like, he's just done the he did the same thing again, didn't he? Almost aborted him in the beginning, and then at the end,
he tried really hard to do that.
He was like, "I'm gonna take your sauce again, and you can't live without this thing around your neck." Like, not only did I do that to you as a baby, I'm just gonna do it to you again as an adult.
He is sauceless.
Wasn't this Islington's debut trilogy? How does one manufacture something? This is I mean, to be fair, that could be said about Ryan Cahill.
Matthew Ward.
Although John Gwynn, it wasn't his first series, but
Legacy is Matthew's
the
first
Legacy Matthew Ward, because that could be said about a lot of authors. But I have so much respect for.
She had murderboard.
she had lies that made a board full of resurrections.
In all honesty, as much as this is very timey-wimey, nothing compares to that series to me. I really should do a reread of that soon, because we read that a few years ago now. It's been years.
Yeah, how weird is that? Was that our first series that we did together?
Yeah.
Or was it one of them? Yeah. I would do a reread of that. That would be fun. But
maybe I would understand more. But I'm still simple, so maybe not.
Simple chance. But it's gonna take me a while to come to terms with the fact that I think maybe this series was just an okay series for me. I think it's partly because I think that I've curated my reading taste. The reason why I give so many great ratings, apart from this month, it's going to be a lot of like a mid-range, because of Cozy Mysteries that I read. There's going to be like lots of 3-star books, but generally speaking, the books that I read, I curate them and I buy because I know that they're going to be really good books for me, like 4 or 5 stars. That's why I give out so many 4 or 5 stars, because I will only.
You know what you like.
I know what I like.
I've got no bloody clue.
But I think this is me partly in denial about the fact that, like, clearly I don't know what I like, because I thought I would love this.
Yeah.
And I'm worried that one, I've wasted my money on buying the physical books. 2, I've wasted my time, because Jesus Christ, was that a lot of time. And like, this is supposed to be my genre, and I know that in each genre you can get good books you love, books you don't. I think I hyped it up in my head so much, and I thought that this was going to be another John Gwynn 5-star series, Ryan Cahill level, Jeremy Ross level 4 5-star series, and it just wasn't. And I'm like, I can't get my head around it. It's really, really bugging me. I just can't get my head around.
No, I get that, but it's fine because we move. We've read it now. You need to read all of them and be just as confused as the rest of
us. Oh, tough day. Seriously? You need to read the rest of the series. You need to read. How can you read book 2 and not want to continue?
I get that, because book 2 follows different characters, doesn't it? The first one follows Kieran, and then the second one follows. I can't remember her name. There's a girl and someone. And
Javel?
Kieran or
the girl? Javel.
Maybe Janelle.
Janelle.
Is that it? I can remember that from years ago. That never happened. Yeah, I do remember vaguely loving the first book and then being like, what the heck is this for the second book? Because it follows 2 completely different characters. And I was not as invested. And then I remember, because I think the third book goes back to Kieran, because I remember doing the live show with you and Kate, who used to do this with us. And I think we all said at the end of book 2, like, where the heck is Kieran? Give us more Kieran. Why is he not in this? And then I think book 3, they go back to Kieran. And then like book 4, they all come together. It's 5, is it 5? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's 5 books. So yeah, maybe the third book is Kieran again, and then I don't know if they all come together in like the 4th book or something.
My all-time ones.
I don't know what mine is.
Rating is 3.51. All-time star rating. All-time. Oh, you mean like your average star
Yeah.
rating?
Yeah.
I read book 1 and 2 in 2022, 3 stars for the
The
first
first
one.
one was 3. See, this is where we differ, Softy, if I'm honest. And that's good because we're different people. But I think I gave the first one like 4 stars, 5 stars, can't remember.
I think I rated most of those books 5.
I did.
And then the last
I can
one.
tell you, actually.
This was the time when I didn't rate 1/2 stars. I think going back, because it was between a 4 and a 5, and I really, really loved them. I just stuck it at a 5, probably like a 4.5, which doesn't sound like a massive difference, but now I do 1/2 stars it is. And then the last one was just an epic fail. Not an epic fail. I'm lying to you. I think the last one was like 3 stars for me. And I just think that for me, that's a series that I mostly enjoyed, and I would reread this one because they were all. I think I loved the first book, and then the second and third book were just kind of like meh.
Well, apparently I rated the second book 4 stars, but I can't currently see what I rated the first book.
Yes, there was. We started this with the lovely Kate.
Yes.
She
doesn't make content as much anymore.
She doesn't make content as much anymore.
I think she also lost access to her YouTube channel and then just stopped, which I get. 2022 is the year of me reading a lot of indie books. What the heck?
It's all about fantasy lore. Yeah, there was me, Kate, and Chels that started this little baby back in 2022. 2023? 2022?
2022 is when we read The Name of Things.
I
used to read loads of books a month. What the heck happened to
me?
You
did. You did.
This is making me sad.
This is third year. What the actual fuck?
What the heck? I don't know what I rated the first one because I can't find it. The second one I rated 4 stars. The third one I rated 4 stars. Oh, I found it! That's not in the right order at all. I still haven't rated that book.
Oh, you need to reread it then, don't you? Woo-hoo.
Yeah. Number 5 I gave 4 stars. I think this series mainly for me was 4 star, like an average of 4. But I do wonder if it would be less now because I feel like I'm a lot harsher now, believe it or not, than I used to be.
I think I'd like it just the same, but I think I would understand things a little bit better because I did have to reread parts. Although I do think the trope in that might piss me off even more if I had to reread it. But I can kind of forgive the trope because the books are so good. Although it did annoy me, and it still probably does every time I think about it. But I read A Big Ship at the Edge of the Universe with another read-along group whom I've hung out with on BookTube for some 3 pushes now. We've had similar opposing reaction, which is really interesting. Ooh.
Yeah, I like it, to be fair, because then we argue in a pleasant way.
She really likes a character. Like, she's just a mother. And I was like, that's not okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you were harsh about that.
Yeah.
You're wrong as well.
You're allowed your opinion, but you're wrong. Yes, Chelsea, you do have a job that takes you around.
Yeah, but you would think that the amount of time I spend in airports and planes, I should really read more than I do, but I don't.
No, traveling's knackering, and if they're not, it's not like you're going there for like leisurely travels here.
My thoughts on every time I go away now, I have more and more thoughts of being like, should I just start reviewing food on TikTok?
Yeah, I think you should.
Because
might as well.
My last vlog was literally me just rating burgers, I think. And schnitzel. That was great. Loved that.
I was telling them on Sunday that sometimes when booktubers who I respect the enough book I have on my shelves, I am much inspired to go read it right now to compare notes. Yeah, I do that too.
This is why I love worst books. I don't make a lot of worst book content at the end of the year. I want to do it.
No.
Because I think I found some good worst books for me this year. But I find a lot of books that I want to read through that because if someone turns around and goes, "Oh, I hate this book," and then gives a reason, I'm like, "Oh, but I like books that do that, so I'm going to read that."
Yeah, I mean, I do get why people do worst books of the year, and no shade, nothing against people that do. I think, again, because I predominantly will read books that I know that I will at least give a
Yeah.
3-star to, and I DNF books that I'm just not enjoying. I
Mm.
can't really say I DNF this book, it was the worst book ever. I can, do you know what I mean? Like, and I
Yeah.
don't get many DNFs in a year, to be fair. I think last year I maybe had 1 or 2 DNFs.
Mm.
And one of them was an indie book that I read like 5 pages of that I didn't think was fair for me to just then go and say the writing was pretty poor,
Yeah.
to be fair, but it's not there for me to go name and shame it on the internet because it was.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't do that if I've read 5 pages of any book, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have many worst books. Like, I don't push through books just to rate them low.
Sometimes I rage read. I rage read Fourth Wing. That was interesting.
I'm so sorry. Fourth Wing, I got FOMO for Fourth Wing, and I was really, really not sure that I would like it, but I went into it thinking it was just gonna be a fine, funky, fresh, fabulous, Kiki, haha, yeah, that time.
Not fine. It's not funky. And it's
And
definitely not fresh.
and it traumatized me, and I was sobbing. Did you see what I was actually sobbing at the end? Like, what the
You
fuck?
did enjoy it, to be fair. But this is like my friend, right? She loves Fourth Wing. She's on the Fourth Wing hype, and I just cannot see it. To me, that book, not good. Can't really say on the internet what I think about it because it probably is a smidge mean. But we're all different. We all like our own things, right? Glad that she loves that book. Can't bring myself to read the second book, even though she keeps telling me I should. Can't do it. Can't do it.
No, if you don't like, see, if you don't like it, you don't like it. But I
No.
couldn't do a waste of the game. I chatted chappy on the socials. You may have noticed how much waffling I do, and I
It's not
don't want to
waffling.
shit on them. Yeah, yeah. Sometimes when I read a book slowly, I deliberately don't even publish my monthly review graphic, and the star graph generates me because I didn't read enough. Then I might see the 3s. Yeah, I mean, if I rate something 3 stars, for me, 3 stars is not a bad rating. I think because reading is subjective, rating is also subjective,
Yeah.
which is why I know a lot of people that I watch, like Olivia Reads a Latte, stopped rating books for a while because she would give a 3 star to something, and people would be like, "Oh my god, you didn't like it! Oh my god, how can you give that 3 stars?"
Yeah.
But it's 3 stars for me is it's good. It had good parts, but it wasn't something that I would write home and rave about.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and if I rate anything less than a 3 stars, some of my cozy mysteries like that I've been reading are just like 2.5 stars because they're just okay. It was just a
Yeah.
quick fun read. It was just average writing, average plot,
Yeah.
kind of saw the ending coming kind of thing. If I rate anything lower than that, I don't finish it. I DNF
No,
it.
that's fair enough.
So
I
that's
like
just
to
how
punish myself apparently, and I
yeah.
just keep reading.
I mean, to be
Even
fair,
when I
though,
don't want to. Like, I recently read The Blood Trials by N.E. Davenport, and it came out as a 3-star. But my gosh, was it hard to get to that 3-star. If I had been smart and nice to myself, I would have DNF'd. But I didn't want to do that. Also, because it fulfilled a prompt on my readathon. But also because I was like, no, I need to know how it ends.
I just look up spoilers. If I really want to see how something ends, but I'm really not getting along with the writing, and I'll just look up a spoiler review, and I'll
I
be
did
like,
that
all
for
right,
the
that's
end of
fine.
Fathom Folk. I didn't get on with that book either.
So
Actually, I
I'll
didn't
just
look
do
up
that.
spoilers. I literally flipped to the final like 20 pages and then skimmed it.
I've done that a couple of times as well when I'm really not liking a book, but I am intrigued about how it's going to finish, and I think if any of my friends actually they won't watch this because they know it's a little spoiler live show, but I think if any of my close friend group found out I did this, they'd probably disown me. But if I really am not liking a book, but I'm really intrigued about who done it or like what the ending is, I will flick to the last couple of chapters and skim read it to find out how it ends.
Yeah.
Or I will if I can't bother doing that, then I will look up a spoiler review of it. I also do that with films.
I don't do that with films.
I will
see that. I will say I think Fathom Folk was the first time I have done that, like in a very, very long time.
Yeah. I do it with films as well. In fact, with films, if it's something like a horror or a thriller or whatever, I do kind of skim read the full plot on
I don't
Wikipedia
watch
first, to see if there's anything in there that I wouldn't like, so I know how it ends anyway, and then I just watch it.
No, I don't watch horrors. I'm a baby. I'm just a baby.
Just a baby. Seeing a reading breakdown live on BookTube was a traumatic experience. I can't watch that. Sorry.
Was that me? Did I have this magical reading breakdown?
Uh,
I think most of my vlogs are like breakdown level at some point. At least for 5 minutes.
3 is enjoyable, and I will continue. 2.5 below is that I didn't like it, and I really tried to hide those if I'm chatting with the author. That I think
I'm not chatty with many people.
Touch wood. I have not really disliked a book that I've read by any author that I'm chatty with. There's people that have reached out and asked me to review their books, and I've sort of just said, like, obviously I'm at DNF it because of this, or I'm not gonna rate it, but this is what I thought about it. But
it wasn't me, it was you.
But I haven't, touch wood, so far. Again, because I generally accept books from authors that I know I'm gonna, or I'm hoping
I've
I'm
got
really
a lot
enjoy.
better since I've been doing this for longer. As we all do, when you start doing something like this, and not everyone, I'm not that bloody popular, but people offer you their books to review. I said yes to more than I probably should have. Yeah. And I have learned now not to do that because I'm awful at reading to a schedule. But also because not every book is for me. And if the blurb doesn't sound great, I'm not going to say yes. And I will just say, I'm too busy. Or because I am. Anyways, like my whole TBR to an extent is planned out a year in advance. Because of like, I do this with you, I do my buddy read with Kate, I've got an in-person book club. 3 books a month minimum is pretty solid to like keep me ticking over, especially in a busy time. And then anything else I get to read in between is just bonus at this rate.
I usually start mentioning the book that all if I have a lower rating 4 stars and above, I will have me tweeting about it on Blue Sky. Dude, I skim read when I'm close to the end and feel like I'm invested enough to.
Been there, done that. Yeah,
yeah, with me that broke down. Honestly, I did not expect that. Like, I genuinely did not expect to have that reaction to Fourth Wing. I knew my mate Andy, who's a Zebra Reads on YouTube. She said that like she loved it, and I know my friend Meg as well really enjoyed it. And I was like, it can't be a bad book if they like it. And I know that's a really stupid thing to say. Meg has not ever, touch wood again, given me a bad recommendation.
Yeah.
There's been the only book that she's liked that I haven't was The Hating Game. And other than that, if she's liked the book, I've liked it and rated it the same or higher. So I was just like, do you know what? 2 of my friends really enjoyed it. When it comes to that kind of thing, like I trust their recommendations. I was like, do you know what? I'll try it. And then I got so invested in the characters, and it's not the best written thing ever. If you want to look at it like
if you want to look at
it as a literary piece of work, the writing isn't great.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But I just.
But for like as Esme, who
plot holes galore if you look at it too closely. But that ending literally broke me into a million pieces, and I was not okay for a while. And
I feel like Fourth Wing is one of those books, and as Esme, who is on my team for Spiffbo and is very big in the book, not tubing because she doesn't tube, but she tweets and stuff.
Book Xer.
Book X, yeah. In the reviewing world, she calls stuff like that popcorn reads, and I 100% agree. Like, you know, they're not necessarily good for you. Fourth Wing did not hit it for me at all. Like, that was like burnt popcorn, bottom of the pan. Not good. But I do understand how people loved it. 100% do. it's the same way with like when everyone starts to come back to reading and they're, you know, mid-20s females or younger, and they read ACOTAR and they think it's the best thing since sliced bread, and then they read other books and they go, oh, actually this isn't the best thing, but it was what I needed at the time. Like, that's the thing with that book, and I think that's why my friend loves it so much, because she's reading it during the time it is hyped, so there is that added in as well. And I just overthink and overanalyze everything anyways.
That's why I waited. I didn't want to read it when it was like really, really hyped to the first book. But like everyone was like, I am worried about reading the second and third book because I've heard not great things. But I'm just gonna take it what it is. Like, yeah, I'm just gonna. They're gonna be quick popcorn reads for me, and I know they're gonna be fine. Might not be fine.
Like 5 minutes. You read books on like 3,000 times speed. You'll be through it.
I need to listen to the dramatized version though, because I've listened to the dramatized version of book 1 and I absolutely adored it. And I know some people don't like the background noise things that you get in dramatized versions, but I absolutely
I listened to the normal version for Fourth Wing when I listened to it.
Oh, the dramatized version is so good. You can like, you know, when they're like saying that she ran, and you can hear them running, and you can hear them like saying things.
I don't think that would have saved this book for me, but I am so glad you loved it.
I will not follow an author on social, so I read and enjoy something by them. I feel bad if I later decide to unfollow.
Yes.
Is that yes? Yes, it is. That is me. I like popcorn movies and read a lot of military science fiction. That's very popcorn.
No. Military sci-fi is not popcorn. Again, you're entitled to your own opinion, but it's wrong. That's not popcorn. That's like, what's MILS?
Military sci-fi. He wants to abbreviate it to MILS.
Yeah, because that looks like, if you're slightly dyslexic, as I can sometimes be, that looks like MILFs.
I do. Do you know what? I think for me, it'll take me a while to come to terms with it, but I'm going to package my trilogy in a box, ready to go to zip it, and then over time just come to terms with the fact that this series just isn't for me. And
so the next one will be, because we're going back to Rob.
Next, we are back with the tried and true legend that is Rob J. Hayes, and I get to experience Esker again. That sounds really wrong. I get to experience
finish a series about Esker, because we did not. We both have read the first book and nothing more.
This is gonna be like the 8th, 9th Rob J. Hayes book that I own, and the 4th one that I've read.
Near enough here, this shelf is pretty much all Rob.
I've got the Heresy Within, like the Ties of Bind trilogy. The Ties of Bind trilogy. I've got the Herald, Demon, and the God Eaters, the trilogy of trilogies, and then I've got like I've got 3 like the City of Kings, and then something else.
That I've got Never Die. I've got the Bound Folio. You've got that as well.
The Bound Folio, yeah.
And then the other one, It Takes a Thief to Catch a Thief.
No, I haven't got those ones yet. They're on my wish list. I got you those for your birthday, didn't I?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I want them ones. I'll get them, Chelsea, because I know that we'll read them at some
point. Anyone is watching this back and you want to join us to read Along the Razor's Edge, which is book 1 in the series for Rob J. Hayes, I'm pretty sure, don't quote me.
Is it the War Eternal series?
Yes, that is right.
I called it the War Immortal series the other day. I couldn't find the series name. I keep calling it the Esker series.
The Esker series. If you want to join us reading the Esker series, I'm pretty sure, I'm just checking before I say this, on the internet.
On the Tinterwebs.
On the Tinterwebs, sweet.
Boom. That's exactly the reaction I got.
Hang on. Pretty sure, still checking. Hang on.
Ooh.
Why are you not showing me what I want to see?
What's IARC?
Right.
IARC.
I'm almost there. Yeah, I am correct. If you pay for Kindle Unlimited, the whole series is on KU.
Ooh. Well, my book of the year. What's IARC? IARC. Oh, if I recall correctly. There we
Yeah.
go. It was a 5-star and won my book of the year. Yeah, so because we've done this live show later than expected because we were both behind as per usual. The Along the Razor's Edge read a lot no words. English, Lisa. The long
It's not long, mate. It's along.
The Along the Razor's Edge live show will be on Chelsea's channel on the 14th of May. Do we agree 14th? Tell me it's right. Please hold.
Yeah, 14th.
Yay! And then the next book in the series, which I always forget the name of, book 2, will be read in May, and then the live show will be in June. So you have until the 14th of May to read Along the Razor's Edge again. Again, if you haven't already. And then you can continue the series. You do have 2 weeks in a smidge.
Yeah, that's about right. I need to reread it.
And we will both get into the habit of we will try to give more advanced notice about
Oh yeah, let's get better at that. I think that's a good mid-year new resolution.
Yeah.
Almost mid.
None of us can speak.
Resolution. Jeez.
But also, we do need to crack on with the indie book tour stuff as well, don't we? We both let that slide this year.
There wasn't a lot of notice, gotta be honest. I think we gave a day, 2 days.
Yeah, a day maybe. And then I didn't actually send out the YouTube link until 40 minutes beforehand. So
organized queen. Just
because we are so organized in wow, you would not think. Toss, leg.
Yeah. Leg.
You would not think that in my work life I am the most organized person.
Oh, you wouldn't think I manage things.
Everything goes into folders, nothing's left unread. I'm the most organized person. As soon as my work is finished, my work brain switches off, and I'm like, ADHD brain Lisa comes out to play, and nothing is organized. It's just pure chaos. The gremlins are like, oh, what can we do to fuck people off and fuck up a life? I'm like,
yeah, no, I organize people for a living, but I can't organize myself. But I can organize Jack. So,
I mean, Jack needs organizing, bless him. He can't organize himself either.
No.
Right, well, love yous and leave yous. We'll see you on Chelsea's channel on the 14th of May for the live show for Along the Razor's Edge by Rob J. Hayes. And then we'll see you. We'll see you then, and hopefully between now and then you'll see us post some videos on our own channels because that's what we're supposed to do as booktubers.
I do that every Tuesday. I post at 6 again.
I haven't posted for a few weeks, so you'll hopefully see something from me tonight if my computer plays nicely.
But, that's nice.
Yeah.
Bye.
We'll see you all soon. Adios, amigos. Peace out.
Annyeonghaseyo.